Hello, it's Charles Fockaert on October the 29th, I believe. Yes, I haven't read my Proverbs yet this morning. I wanted to get this done, and then I can take some time and relax. It's October the 29th, 2017. This is number 8 in the series of On the Road with Charles Fockaert. And boy, what a road trip this has been, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, as they say, and I'm going to relate to you what happened. I suggest that you don't jump in at the middle here and start watching number 8 in the series. I suggest that if you're interested in what I'm doing here is that you take the time to watch the other videos. You can speed them up, run through them. I understand I talk slow, but I don't talk that slow. I look around and I watch some other videos and I don't talk that slow. But if you speed it up to 125, you can get through it and understand what I'm saying. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel. I'm operating on the battery mode, and I hope this works out. We get through this. Says I got 3 hours left, 80% battery. Wow. I left. Well, wait a minute. Let me back up. I'm going to do a little recap. Yesterday morning. Was it yesterday morning? Anyway, the other morning, either Friday morning or yesterday morning, I did a compression check because my mechanic, Mr. Brian, not his real name, he was hiding in the house. He didn't want to come out. So I did a compression check, everything across the board, 118, 116, 115, which is pretty good. Like I said, I didn't do the other side. I don't think I have a problem there, and it's hard to get to. So, put it all back together after he didn't come out to adjust the valve, the rocker arm, and I don't think there's a problem there. It's so minor, I'm not going to worry about it. So about noonish yesterday, I got back on the road, and I'm a little apprehensive. I decide I'm going to take 91 instead of Highway 15. I get on the road, 91, go through town, and I get to the same exact spot where I was stranded, and I had to call my mechanic, and I wouldn't even call him a mechanic. He's very toxic individual. Oh, by the way, in the last video, I related that him and the significant other, this woman he's with, had a knockdown drag out right there out in the yard with the 10-year-old boy there. It was so sad, so sad. She was yelling at him and he was yelling back, and she was saying, you never listen, you're always right, you don't answer simple questions. That's the same thing I've been saying. So I am so glad to be out of there. So negative. If I would have had a normal person working on this vehicle, it would have been a whole different experience, folks. And a fellow named Steve called me that I contacted on Craigslist as a backup, but he didn't have an ad on there when I got a hold of Brian. Some of you will maybe wonder, why the hell did you hire this guy Brian? Well, you're stranded and you don't have much of a choice when he's the only guy on Craigslist. So anyway, that's all behind me now, thank goodness. I got on the highway, and I'm going to show you where I was stranded on Highway 91 there. So here is when I broke down the second time, and this is Highway 15, and the Highway 91 runs parallel. So I was right back in here, the old memory of being broke down again with the inadequate torque on the head bolts. No longer seeing any reason not to move on. I packed her up yesterday about noonish, as I mentioned, and I headed out of town. Pocatello, headed toward Utah. And, I'm a little apprehensive. I get on 91 thinking I can take 91 for quite a while. Well, guess what? 91 turns into Highway 15. So I'm on the highway, and I'm hoping everything's going to hold together, and I keep going and going, and everything seems to be all right. Didn't overheat. It's a little running a little warm, I think. Maybe not. I might be wrong. Maybe the gauge is not what it could be. And but anyway, I'm on the highway and I'm going down and everything's fine. And I get quite a few miles down the road, and one time I pull over, I think, and I take a break. Yeah, I pulled off at the Flying J Ranch, or the Flying J truck stop somewhere there, and get out, walk around. I'm so relieved that the truck's running. I'm away from Mr. Toxic and all the negativity. I feel so good. I walk around, and everything's working. So I get back on the road again, and I head south toward Utah. A beautiful weather, nice day, blue sky. I didn't see any chemtrails yet. Heading down the road, we come to this really steep incline. Oh boy, and I say, well, this is the test, with a capital T, for the torque and the engine and the head gasket and everything. And I'm going up this, it must have been 5-6 mile, 5% grade. I'm going 45, but the engine's really pumping, boy. It's giving me my money's worth. And it's hauling, remember, I'm hauling the Toyota behind me. Whew, up the grade, up the grade, up the grade. I'm watching the hot water, watching the gauge. I don't want it to boil over, and I don't want to ruin my engine. Haven't even got to Utah yet. Or maybe I was in Utah at this time. Yeah, I was in Utah at this time. It said, welcome to Utah. And you know what? Another thing is the freaking roads in Idaho. I got to Utah, man, the roads were nice. And the very end of Idaho there, the road was nice. But back where I was, see, the reason I'm so paranoid and stressed out is because I went through that snowstorm, you know, that snow flurry, and I'm swerving on the road, and then I go through the windstorm and it blows me over in the other lane, and then I have this problem with the engine. So, you know, I'm normally not a paranoid guy, and I've done some pretty harrowing things in my lifetime in flights and different countries. And so, but I'm getting older now, and things affect me differently. And so I'm pretty stressed out. But I just talked to my buddy Mike, who's headed down this way. He was hired by an older gentleman to drive their bus down here because the older gentleman, it gets too stressed out and can't do it. So I'm not the only guy, and I don't really like driving this 77, 40-year-old high-profile Chevy, Winnebago, because it's windy and I'm not comfortable in it. So I'm going to have to do something different, or I don't know. We'll see. And so I'm on this long grade going uphill, and the engine's just but everything's working. So I get all the way to the top, almost all the way to the top, and there's a rest stop, and I'm going, remember that I think I can about the engine, I think I can, I'm thinking about that, and I'm going up, I think I can, and the engine's holding up, and everything's going, I'm not having any problems, and the engine's really working. I get to the rest stop, man, I'm pulling over. I got to get out and relax again, and wow, and give the truck a rest, you know, baby. Oh, kiss that hood, because this baby is working. And I get to the top, and I do a walk around, and I look at my right rear outside tire. These vehicles have 2 tires in the back, so I got 10 tires on the road. I'm wearing out 10 tires at a time. And I also noticed that the alignment, I think, on the Mini Winnie isn't quite right, because the outside edges of the tires are wearing. I got to do something about that. Anyway, I noticed that the right rear tire is low on air. So I hit it, and yep, and I got to fix the flat tire now. Thank goodness I bought a spare. So that's a minor problem for me. After all I've been through, man, I can handle almost anything. So I got a minor problem I got to take care of. So 2 o'clock p.m., I take the tire off. I'm underneath with the jacking up, and I noticed something else. And this is where your prayers come in. I believe Yahweh had that flat tire happen so that I would get underneath there and I would look at the tires on the inside tire, and there's brake fluid. I thought it was grease at first, oil from the wheel bearing, because I fixed the other side when I was in Montana, but it's brake fluid. And I had just put brake fluid in earlier in the month, and I haven't driven it this much, so, and it was only down a little bit, and I figured, well, yeah, no, that's normal, so I put some more brake fluid in. And so I went and checked the brake fluid, and sure enough, the brake fluid on the rear, if you know about brake fluid cylinder, the front brakes have a lot of brake fluid, and the rear brakes only have a smaller reservoir to hold the fluid. So luckily, and I remember a neighbor of mine when I lived in Summers borrowed my brake fluid, never bought me a new can, but I happened to have this much left in a can of brake fluid, and I poured that all in. It filled it up, put the cap back on, put the tire back on, put the spare on the rear wheel, tightened it all up. I got a bad left hand. It's not easy. I can't grip. But anyway, I got it all together, and I got back on the road, and I'm here in Tremonton, Utah, at about 4,500 feet. And I spent the night here last night, and I feel so much better. And I wanted to show you, I went out to eat. I was too tired. I didn't want to cook dinner. And I went out to eat. This is what I like about small town America. This is where I chose to eat. I was walking down the road, and some guy came up behind me, and he kind of scared me because I had my hood on, and I wasn't paying attention. And he came up behind me, and I'm in a city I'm not familiar with, and he's kind of scared me, and we started talking, and I asked him where I could eat, and he recommended a Chinese place, and no, I'm not going to eat Chinese food. I'm not going to support non-white places. I don't go to Mexican food places. I don't go to Chinese. Anyway, there's this place called Mac's right on the corner, and an old-fashioned American style greasy spoon place, and he recommended pastrami sandwich and onion rings. He said, don't get the fries. So anyway, I went there, and here's what it looked like inside. So here I am. I'm in the booth here, and I'm just enjoying the whole scene because my truck's running, the van's running, everything's okay, and I got a minor problem with the flat tire. And I noticed it was pretty interesting. These two bathrooms here, there ain't no way no handicapped person's getting into those bathrooms. Those doors are too short. And I said, well, good for you. No one's come and made you rip out your bathroom and make it for handicap. I'm sorry about you handicapped people, but you know what? That's just the way it is, man. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. And right behind me, or right next to me on the right side, was a jukebox with an old 45s in it, and it was broken though. Gosh, I wish it was working, because I would have sunk some money in there and get some music going. And and everybody high school students were working. A high school student took my order. There's no McDonald's in town. There's no Burger King. There was a was there a Subway? Yeah, there might be a Subway here. And but hey, this is small town America. I loved it. And I had my dinner, took my time. I got a big pickle there. You can't see it because there are heads in the way here, but there's a pickle jar right there with those big, huge pickles. So I saw that, and I had to have one of those. And man, I just had a really enjoyable evening last night. Came back to where I'm parked. I'm going to show you that here. Here I am parked at this big open area near the fairgrounds. The fairgrounds are to my west. And I took this shot here, the vertical, because the moon was out, about a half moon last night. And I tell you what, that moon looked like it was only 50 miles away, folks. Does the moon look 238,000 miles away to you? That moon looked to me, I might be wrong. I think it's 100 miles. It might only be 50 miles away, folks. And a lot of you people coming on here probably thinking, this is a guy on full-time RV. I'm interested. What the hell's he talking about? The moon now. Hey, the moon is only, there is no space. And the moon is not 238,000 miles away, folks. And I also noticed, I don't have a photo of it, but they were spraying here too, and that's another. I'm going to do a whole nother video on my thoughts while I've had on my trip, and I'm going to do that next year if Yeshua allows. So I'm on the road again. I want to thank you for supporting this channel, and may the grace of God, our Father Yahweh, may His grace be upon us all. And by the way, He created a level playing earth with a firmament above. The moon and the sun circle above the level playing earth. There is no space. There is no space. The only thing you know about space is what you've seen from NASA and the movies. And even William Shatner says, and there's a video, I'm not going to go find it, but you can go find it. Somebody asked him a question, what's the distinction between science fiction and science? And he says they're both the same. There is no difference. He knows, folks. He knows, but he's not going to tell you because that would I mean, he's got to be living a life of, wow, I'm fooling all these people and I made a lot of money doing it, but he can't live with himself. I want to thank you for subscribing. Thank you for supporting this channel. May the grace of God our Father be with us all, for we certainly need it. I know I do. See ya.